Jax Carter wiped the sweat from his brow and stepped back to look at the starship's damaged core. Sparks still flew from the last welding sequence, and the smell of scorched metal filled the cramped workshop. He muttered under his breath, adjusting a panel for the 5th time. "Come on, baby, work with me here," he said, half to himself and half to the stubborn machine. The repair station was alive with activity. Aliens of every shape and color moved through the corridors, some carrying crates, others arguing in languages Jax couldn't hope to understand. But Jax didn't mind. He loved the chaos. He thrived on it. Every ship that came through his doors was a puzzle, and every puzzle was a chance to prove himself. "Kata!" a voice called from the entrance. Jax turned, shielding his eyes from the bright overhead lights. A figure stepped into the workshop. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with a pale, almost metallic glow, and her eyes, large and almond-shaped, seemed to study everything at once. Her armor was sleek, almost regal, yet worn from travel. She carried herself with a confidence that made every other alien in the room seem small in comparison. "Can I help you?" Jax asked, wiping his hands on a rag. "I need my ship repaired," she said, her voice calm but commanding. There was an underlying authority in the way she spoke, a tone that made it clear she was used to people listening to her without question. She didn't ask. She stated. Jax raised an eyebrow. "You picked the right place. What seems to be the problem?" She gestured to the ship parked outside, a sleek craft with damage that looked like it had survived a meteor storm. "Core instability," she said. "It's crucial that it functions perfectly. Lives depend on it." Jax whistled softly. "Lives, huh? That's a lot of pressure for a day's work." He grinned, more out of habit than nerves. "Don't worry. I've fixed cores that were supposed to be scrap. Yours'll run like new before the sun sets." She watched him silently, her gaze sharp but not unkind. Jax shrugged and went to work. Hours passed. Jax moved with practiced precision, rewiring circuits, calibrating energy flow, and testing stabilizers. The alien woman observed from the corner, occasionally tilting her head, as if analyzing his every move. Jax noticed her watching, but didn't comment. He was too focused on the task. When the final panel clicked into place, Jax stepped back, hands on his hips. The core hummed with a steady rhythm, glowing softly. There.
"Good as new," he said, wiping his hands again. The woman approached, inspecting the core.
She nodded slowly. "Efficient," she said.
There was no warmth in her voice, but it carried approval. Jack shrugged, grinning.
"I take pride in my work." Without thinking, he extended his fist in a casual gesture. "Fist bump?" he asked.
The woman looked at him for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then, almost imperceptibly, she mirrored his gesture and tapped her fist against his. The contact was brief, but there was a strange energy in it, like the spark of recognition that went deeper than either of them understood. "Thanks," she said softly, stepping back. "You've earned my respect." Jax blinked. "No problem," he laughed nervously. He didn't know why, but he felt lighter somehow, as if a weight had lifted. The woman turned and walked toward her ship. "I will return," she said, her voice carrying authority. "If you are still here." Jax watched her leave, shaking his head. He didn't know why, but he had a feeling he hadn't seen the last of her. The next few days passed in a blur of work. Ships came and went, clients argued over schedules, and Jax found himself thinking about the mysterious woman more than he cared to admit. He tried to push it aside, focusing on his tasks. But her presence lingered in his mind like a shadow. Then, the station received troubling news. A fleet of unknown ships had been sighted near the Outer Rim. Rumors spread quickly. Some said they were pirates. Others claimed they were agents of a galactic syndicate known for targeting new leaders. Jax didn't pay much attention at first. Politics and galactic power plays weren't his concern. His concern was keeping the engines running and the circuits intact. But then, she returned. The same sleek ship glided into the docking bay, engines humming smoothly. The woman stepped out, her expression unreadable but intense. Jax felt a familiar jolt in his chest, the same feeling he had when he first saw her. She approached him, her eyes scanning the workshop. "You are still here," she said. "Good. I require your assistance again." Jax grinned nervously. "Well, I'm flattered you think I'm the guy for the job."
"I do," she said simply.
Her tone left no room for argument. She led him to her ship, and Jax followed, heart pounding with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Once inside, he saw the modifications she wanted: defensive systems, energy shielding, and complex weapon integrations. It was more than a repair job. It was an upgrade on a scale he had never attempted before. "This is ambitious," he said, scanning the schematics. "You're asking me to do things that most engineers wouldn't even dream of." She met his gaze. "I need something beyond what they think is possible."
I need a human's touch. Jax blinked. A human's touch. You are known for your ingenuity, your ability to improvise, to find solutions where others see dead ends, she said.
I require that skill now.
Jax felt a surge of pride mixed with disbelief. "Me? You think a simple mechanic like me can handle this?" She nodded. "I do. And I trust you." Jax spent the next several days working tirelessly. He improvised, adapted, and tested every modification. He pushed his skills to the limit, discovering new ways to integrate alien technology with human engineering principles. Each night he returned to his small quarters, exhausted but exhilarated. Meanwhile, the woman observed discreetly, occasionally offering guidance but never interfering. She moved through the station like a shadow, unnoticed by most but watched by those who knew better. Jax began to realize that there was more to her than met the eye. Something in her presence demanded respect, even without words. One evening, as Jax tightened the final panel on the ship's newly upgraded core, the woman stepped beside him. The soft hum of the engines filled the room, and for a moment neither of them spoke. "You've done well," she said finally. Jax looked at her, unsure what to say. "Thanks, I guess." She smiled faintly, a gesture so subtle it could be missed. "I knew humans were capable of great things. You've proven that." Jax's chest swelled with pride. He had always known humans were resourceful, clever, and adaptable, but hearing it from someone who clearly had power and influence made it real in a way he couldn't ignore. He extended his fist again, almost instinctively. Fist bump. This time, she didn't hesitate. Their fists met, and the spark between them was undeniable, though neither could name it yet. It was more than respect. It was recognition. Two beings acknowledging each other's worth in a vast and often indifferent galaxy. As she walked back to her ship, Jax felt a strange sense of anticipation. He didn't know it then, but that fist bump had marked the beginning of something far larger than either of them could imagine. Somewhere out there, forces were already moving, and Jax's skills, his courage, and his human unpredictability would soon be tested in ways that would change the course of the galaxy. For now, though, he returned to his workbench, the smell of metal and ozone filling the air. Life went on at the station, but Jax Carter had unknowingly stepped onto a path that would take him beyond the stars and into a story no human had ever dreamed of. The station hummed with activity, but an uneasy tension had settled over the corridors. Jax had returned to his usual routine of repairing starships, but his mind often wandered to the mysterious woman he had fist-bumped, the one who had praised his skill and trusted him with her ship's most advanced systems. He didn't know why, but he felt connected to something much larger than the repair station or the endless flow of incoming ships. Rumors spread quickly among the aliens about strange sightings near the outer rim. Ships were being destroyed, systems sabotaged, and transport lanes blocked. Whispers of a powerful and dangerous faction called the Orcs Syndicate grew louder each day. Even the station's usual chatter about cargo schedules and engine repairs seemed overshadowed by the looming threat. Jax tried to focus on his work, but a sense of foreboding gnawed at him. He had a feeling that the mysterious woman and her ship were tied to the rumors, though he had no idea how or why. Then, late one evening, her ship returned. The docking bay lights reflected off its polished surface, casting streaks across the metal floor. Jax was working on a smaller cargo vessel when he noticed the sleek craft gliding into position. His heart skipped a beat. She stepped out as the bay doors hissed open. Her eyes, usually calm and measured, were sharp and alert. "Harder," she said, her voice carrying an urgency that instantly grabbed his attention. "I require your expertise again. There is no time to waste." Jax wiped his hands on his rag, trying to hide his nervousness. Sure. What's wrong this time?" "There's a threat," she said, her gaze steady. "A faction known as the Orcs Syndicate. They seek to destabilize the galaxy. My position is now official. I am the Galactic Queen. They want to eliminate me and anyone who supports me." "Wait, you're the Queen?" "Yes, I have been traveling incognito to assess threats and gather intelligence."
Your skills and your quick thinking have caught my attention. I believe you could be a valuable ally."
Jax blinked, trying to process the revelation. His mind raced. A queen? Out there in the galaxy. Someone with the power to command fleets and entire civilizations? And she had chosen him, a human mechanic, as someone she trusted. "Wow," he said finally. "Me? You think I can help you with that?"
I do, she said.
Humans have a unique capacity for adaptability and ingenuity. That is exactly what I need. Jack swallowed hard and nodded. "All right, I'll do it. But you've got to show me what to do first." The Queen led him to her ship's main control room. The interior was a blend of sleek alien technology and sophisticated systems, many of which Jax had never seen before. He ran his hands over the consoles, analyzing circuits, energy conduits, and weapon arrays. The schematics displayed on holographic panels revealed the upgrades she wanted: defensive systems, stealth modifications, and advanced energy shielding. "It's complicated," Jack said, "but I think I can handle it." "You will," she replied firmly. "And you must work quickly. The Orcs Syndicate is closing in." "Every delay puts lives at risk." For the next several days, Jax worked tirelessly. He adapted alien technology in ways that no engineer had tried before, modifying systems for maximum efficiency. He tested new energy shielding, recalibrated weapon arrays, and developed fail-safe mechanisms that allowed the ship to operate under extreme conditions. Each time he solved a problem, the Queen observed quietly, occasionally offering a small hint or correction, but mostly letting him rely on his human intuition. During one late-night session, Jax leaned back, exhausted. Sparks flew from a misaligned power conduit, and he ducked just in time. "Okay, maybe humans shouldn't play with alien superweapons," he muttered, laughing nervously. The Queen tilted her head, watching him. "You have done remarkably well," she said softly. "Your ability to improvise under pressure is rare." "Thanks, I guess. I just do what needs to be done." As they worked, Jax began to notice something remarkable about the Queen. Despite her authority and power, she was willing to trust someone she barely knew with her most critical systems. She didn't order him around or micromanage. She observed, learned, and allowed him to act. It was a level of trust and respect that Jax had never encountered, and it fueled his determination to succeed. Then, the threat became real. A Vorax scout ship appeared near the station, moving fast and with dangerous intent. The alarms blared throughout the docking bays, and Jax felt his stomach tighten. The Queen moved swiftly, her posture commanding attention even in the chaos. "Carter, we must act," she said. "Prepare the ship."
"They are testing our defenses." Jax ran to the controls, his hands steady despite the adrenaline surging through him.
He activated the upgraded shields, rerouted energy to the weapons, and monitored the Vorax ship's movements. The alien vessel struck quickly, firing plasma bursts at the station, but Jax anticipated the trajectory, activating countermeasures just in time. The Queen coordinated with her fleet through holographic communications, her voice calm and precise. "Hold your ground."
"We will not be intimidated." The battle was intense.
Sparks flew, alarms blared, and ships collided in the chaos of the docking bay. Jax's modifications worked perfectly. His energy shield absorbed blasts that would have destroyed lesser systems, and his improvised weapon recalibrations disrupted the Vorax ship's targeting systems. Time and again, he saved the Queen's ship from critical damage. Finally, the Vorax scout retreated, unable to breach the upgraded defenses. Jax sank into a chair, exhausted but exhilarated. The Queen approached, placing a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of gratitude that felt almost human despite her alien form. "You've done more than I expected," she said quietly. "Your skill and courage have saved lives today." Jax shook his head. I just did what I had to do. I didn't know I was saving anyone important." The Queen smiled faintly. "Sometimes the most important lives are protected by those who do not know their own significance. You are one such person." Over the next few days, the Vorax threat continued to grow. Multiple factions moved against the Queen, attempting to exploit weaknesses in her alliances and test her defenses. Jax worked tirelessly, using his human ingenuity to outmaneuver attacks, repair damaged ships, and develop strategies the aliens had never considered. He began to realize something profound. While alien civilizations relied heavily on technology, hierarchy, and rigid protocols, humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. A single human could make a difference in ways that armies and fleets could not anticipate. Every decision he made, every improvisation he applied, had the potential to shift the balance of power. One evening, as Jax monitored the station's perimeter, the Queen approached. She stood silently beside him, her gaze fixed on the stars. "You understand now," she said, after a long pause. "Humans are exceptional. Your adaptability, your courage. It is why I trust you with my life." Jax looked at her, humbled. "I never thought I'm just a mechanic." "How could I compare to you or your fleet?" "You are not just a mechanic," she said firmly. "You are the embodiment of what makes humans unique. You think beyond rules, you adapt, and you never give up. That is a strength many leaders lack." Jax felt a mixture of pride and disbelief. He had always known humans were clever, resourceful, and resilient, but hearing it acknowledged by a Galactic Queen made it real in a way he could almost touch. The days that followed were a whirlwind of preparation. The Queen's fleet was small but powerful, and the Vorax Syndicate's attacks grew bolder. Jax worked alongside alien engineers, teaching them techniques they had never imagined. Some were skeptical at first, but they soon learned to respect his skill and ingenuity. He was no longer just a human mechanic. He was a symbol of what humans could achieve, even against overwhelming odds. Finally, the Queen called for a meeting in the command center. The holographic map displayed the movements of the Vorax fleet. "We must act decisively," she said. "Carter, your insight will guide our next move." Jack stepped forward, his hands tracing the energy flows and attack vectors. He outlined a strategy that relied on speed, unpredictability, and precise strikes, methods that leveraged human improvisation against the rigid tactics of the Vorax Syndicate. The Queen studied his plan, her expression thoughtful.
It is bold.
But it could work, she said. Your instincts are remarkable, Carter. Humans may be underestimated, but you have proven that one person can change the course of events. As the fleet prepared to move, Jax felt a sense of purpose he had never known. He was no longer just repairing ships. He was part of a mission that could determine the fate of an entire galaxy.
And though he didn't yet know the full extent of the dangers ahead, he understood that human courage and ingenuity could shine even in the darkest reaches of space. When the Queen departed to oversee the fleet, she turned to him.
Remember, Carter, trust your instincts. Humans have a way of seeing solutions others cannot. Your actions will matter more than you know, Jax nodded, watching her leave.
He felt a strange mix of pride, fear, and excitement. The galaxy was larger, more dangerous, and more complex than he had ever imagined. But for the first time, he believed he had a role in shaping its future, and somewhere in the depths of space, the Vorax Syndicate was already plotting their next move, unaware that a human mechanic, simple, clever, and relentless, was about to become the unexpected key to stopping them. The galaxy outside the station stretched endlessly, filled with stars, planets, and dangers that humans had barely begun to understand. Jax Carter had never imagined he would play a role in any of it, let alone stand alongside the Galactic Queen herself. Yet here he was, working tirelessly in her ship's control room, surrounded by systems far beyond anything he had studied back on Earth, or any station before. The Vorax Syndicate was growing bolder. Reports of their attacks came in almost hourly. Supply ships destroyed, colonies threatened, and allies sabotaged. The Queen's fleet, though powerful, could not respond to every threat at once. It required strategy, foresight, and a mind unafraid of improvisation, exactly what Jax brought to the table. The Queen entered the room quietly, her expression unreadable. "Carter," she said, "it is time. We must strike at the heart of the Vorax Syndicate. Their main command station is located in the Viridian Cluster. It is heavily defended, but we cannot wait any longer. Every day we delay, more lives are at risk." Jack swallowed hard, feeling the weight of responsibility. I've dealt with engines and shields, but a command station?
That's way above my pay grade.
You have already proven your skill, she said calmly. Human creativity and adaptability are exactly what this mission requires.
I will guide you, but your intuition will be our advantage.
He nodded, feeling both nervous and exhilarated. There was no turning back now. The journey to the Viridian Cluster was tense. Jack spent hours studying the station's schematics, analyzing attack patterns, and testing modified weapon systems. He worked alongside alien engineers, showing them techniques that relied not on strict rules or protocols, but on improvisation, trial and error, and human ingenuity. At first, they were skeptical. Aliens relied heavily on precision, calculations, and rigid strategies, but when Jax's methods consistently succeeded, they began to respect his unconventional approach. One evening, as the ship traveled through a field of drifting asteroids, Jax was monitoring energy levels when a sudden alert flashed across the console. "Pirates," he muttered, squinting at the readings. "Small fleet, fast, armed to the teeth." The Queen appeared beside him, her eyes sharp. "We cannot afford delays. How do you suggest we handle them?" Jax thought quickly, analyzing the asteroid field. "We can use the asteroids as cover. They'll expect a straight attack, but if we weave through the field, we can get behind them and disable their engines before they know what hit them."
The Queen nodded. "Do it."
"Carter, you will lead this maneuver." Adrenaline surged through Jax as he guided the ship through the jagged field of rock and metal. The Vorax pirates fired relentlessly. But Jax's improvised tactics worked perfectly. Using energy bursts, shield diversions, and rapid maneuvers, he disabled the enemy ships one by one. By the time they were done, the pirate fleet was in disarray, retreating in confusion. The Queen placed a hand on his shoulder, her expression a mix of relief and admiration. "Humans are remarkable," she said quietly. "Your unpredictability is an asset that cannot be replicated." "You have saved lives again today," Jax smiled, though exhaustion weighed heavily on him.
I guess humans aren't so bad after all.
Days later, they reached the Viridian cluster. The command station loomed like a fortress surrounded by energy shields and defensive fleets.
Jax studied the readings on the console, noting weak points in the energy grid, blind spots in surveillance, and gaps in patrol patterns. He proposed a daring plan. A small, fast team would infiltrate the station, disable the defenses from within, and allow the Queen's fleet to strike decisively. The Queen studied his plan, her eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "It is risky," she said.
"But it is bold. Your instincts are correct. We will proceed."
Jax prepared the ship for infiltration, running final checks on weapons, shields, and stealth systems. The Queen's fleet formed a perimeter, ready to support them if needed. Jax felt a mixture of fear and excitement. This was unlike anything he had faced before. One mistake could cost countless lives. They entered the station's perimeter undetected, slipping past patrols and automated defenses. Jax guided the small infiltration team, using his human problem-solving skills to bypass security systems and navigate complex corridors. At every turn, he improvised solutions, rerouting energy to disable sensors, using maintenance tunnels to avoid guards, and even creating diversions with temporary energy pulses. Inside the station, the team encountered the Vorax command crew. The aliens were confident, believing no human could infiltrate their defenses. But Jax's unpredictability and quick thinking allowed them to gain the upper hand. He used makeshift tools and modifications on the fly, turning ordinary equipment into weapons and disabling critical systems with minimal resources. The Queen's voice came over the communicator.
"Carter, status?"
"All clear," he replied, ducking behind a console as a Vorax patrol passed.
"We've neutralized the main grid. Shields are down. Your fleet can strike now."
The Queen's fleet attacked with precision, taking the Vorax forces by surprise. Energy blasts erupted across the station. But Jax and his team pressed forward, ensuring that no retaliatory strikes could target the Queen's forces. His human intuition and improvisation had created a path for victory that no alien strategy could have predicted. Finally, they reached the central command room. Jax interfaced with the main console, rerouting the energy systems and locking the station's weapons offline. The Vorax leaders were stunned, unable to comprehend how a single human had outmaneuvered their defenses. The Queen entered the room moments later, her presence commanding respect.
"You have done it," she said, her voice filled with genuine admiration. "Your courage, ingenuity, and skill have turned the tide of this battle." Jack shook his head, trying to hide his disbelief.
I just did what had to be done. I didn't think I could make a difference."
"You have made the difference," she said firmly. "Humans are underestimated, and that is their strength."
"Your unpredictability, your resourcefulness. It is why you have succeeded where others would fail."
As the Vorax forces surrendered, Jax felt a sense of pride and accomplishment he had never known.
He had faced overwhelming odds, navigated alien technology, and outsmarted some of the galaxy's most dangerous adversaries. And he had done it with nothing but his human ingenuity, courage, and determination. The Queen turned to him, her expression softening. "Carter, you have earned more than respect. You have proven that humans are a force to be reckoned with in this galaxy. You have shown that courage and creativity can overcome even the most powerful enemies."
Jax smiled faintly.
"I
"Guess humans really aren't so bad?"
she chuckled softly. "Not at all. You have reminded me why humans are unique, capable of extraordinary feats when they trust themselves and each other."
You have changed the course of this conflict, Carter. Never forget that.
In the following days, the galaxy began to take notice. Stories spread of the human mechanic who had infiltrated a Vorax command station and saved the Queen's fleet. Aliens from many worlds marveled at his skill, courage, and ingenuity. Jax, ever humble, returned to his workshop, continuing to repair ships and tinker with machines. But he knew something had changed. He had seen the power of human creativity and determination in action, and he understood that his place in the galaxy was no longer small or insignificant. The Queen visited him often, seeking advice, guidance, or simply to observe his work. Each visit reinforced his understanding that humans could achieve the extraordinary when given trust and opportunity. And though he remained a simple mechanic at heart, he now knew that even the smallest actions could ripple across the stars, shaping the fate of worlds. Jax often thought back to that first fist bump, the casual gesture that had begun this journey. He had no idea then that it would lead him to the heart of galactic conflict, that it would place him beside the Queen, and that it would reveal the true power of human ingenuity. Now, as he tightened bolts and rewired circuits in the quiet of his workshop, he smiled. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of unknown threats, but he was ready. He had faced the impossible, outsmarted deadly enemies, and discovered that humans could make a difference in ways no one had ever imagined. And somewhere, in the depths of space, the Vorax Syndicate was plotting their next move, unaware that a human mechanic, clever, fearless, and unpredictable, was ready to meet them head-on. The galaxy was quiet in the moments before battle, a deceptive calm stretching across the void. Jax Carter stood on the bridge of the Queen's ship, his hands resting lightly on the console. He had faced danger before, navigated pirate attacks, and infiltrated a heavily guarded station. But this was different. The Vorax Syndicate's main fleet had gathered in the Draxion expanse, poised to crush anyone who opposed them. The Queen's fleet, though loyal and disciplined, was outnumbered. Victory would require more than strength. It would require ingenuity, speed, and the unpredictability that only a human mind could provide. The Queen appeared beside him, her presence commanding yet calm.
Carter, she said, her voice steady, our success depends on your plan. We cannot rely on brute force alone.
The Vorax believe they are invincible. They do not understand the human capacity for adaptation. Jack swallowed hard. He had spent days analyzing the enemy fleet, mapping their movements and improvising strategies that could exploit their weaknesses. Every detail mattered. One miscalculation could destroy not just the fleet, but countless lives across the galaxy.
We'll do it,
He said finally, forcing a calmness he did not feel.
We'll use their overconfidence against them.
They expect straight attacks, but we'll be unpredictable. We'll strike where they least expect it.
I trust you, Carter. Lead us.
As the fleet moved into position, the Vorax ships opened fire, their energy blasts lighting the darkness of space. The Queen's fleet responded with disciplined precision, but it was Jax's plan that gave them the edge. Using the asteroid field near the Draxion expanse, the fleet split into smaller groups, weaving between rocks and debris. Jax had modified the ship's engines for rapid, unpredictable bursts of speed, allowing them to dodge fire and attack from angles the Vorax had not anticipated. Jax guided the flagship with steady hands, issuing commands through the comm system. Flank the left wing. Use rapid bursts to disable their targeting arrays. Hold the right wing in reserve until I give the signal. Energy blasts exploded around them, shaking the hull, but the fleet moved like a single organism, coordinated yet flexible. Jax's improvisation allowed them to bypass the strongest enemy defenses, hitting weak points with precision. Meanwhile, the Queen directed her ships with calm authority, her voice a constant guide for every captain. She trusted Jax completely, allowing him to implement his strategies while keeping the fleet focused and disciplined. Together, they were a balance of human unpredictability and alien command, a combination no enemy could anticipate. As they advanced, the Vorax launched a massive counterattack. Swarms of smaller ships surrounded the Queen's flagship, attempting to overwhelm the defenses. Jax thought quickly. He rerouted energy to the engines and shields, creating a rapid rotation that confused the enemy sensors. He then triggered the newly modified weapons, unleashing a flurry of plasma bursts that disabled multiple Vorax ships at once. The fleet pressed forward, following Jax's lead. Every maneuver relied on human ingenuity, improvising paths through asteroid fields, using debris as shields, and creating distractions with calculated energy pulses. The Vorax had never faced tactics like this. Their formations broke apart under the relentless unpredictability of a human mind at work. Finally, they reached the heart of the Vorax fleet, the command ship, massive and heavily armored, at the center of the formation. Its weapons targeted the Queen's flagship, ready to destroy them in a single strike. Jax took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide everything. He analyzed the command ship's defenses, noting the energy flows and weak points. Using his human problem-solving skills, he devised a daring plan. "Queen," he said over the comm, "we can disable their weapons if I can get close enough to the power core. I'll need a small team and full support from the fleet to keep them distracted."
The Queen's eyes narrowed. "It is risky."
"One mistake." "I know," Jack said, his voice steady. "But it's our best shot." The Queen considered for a moment, then nodded. "Do it. May humans guide your hands, Carter." Jax led a small strike team in a modified shuttle, weaving through enemy fire with impossible speed. Using improvised maneuvers, he avoided the command ship's heavy guns, guiding his team along maintenance corridors and structural weak points. The Vorax guards were caught off guard. No one expected humans to infiltrate their strongest vessel. Inside, Jax worked quickly. His hands moved over the controls, rerouting power, destabilizing energy conduits, and rigging a chain reaction that would neutralize the ship's weapons. Sparks flew, alarms blared. But his focus never wavered. Every decision was precise yet flexible, a dance of human ingenuity against alien precision. The Vorax attempted to stop them, but Jax anticipated every move. He improvised traps, redirected energy flows, and used environmental hazards to disable enemies without exposing his team to direct fire. Slowly, methodically, they reached the core.
"Almost there," Jax muttered, sweat on his brow. He pressed the final sequence.
The command ship shuddered violently, its weapons systems going offline one by one. Above them, the Queen's fleet surged. With the enemy's defenses down, they struck decisively, disabling the remaining Vorax ships and securing victory. Energy beams streaked across the void, explosions lighting the darkness like fireworks. But Jax and his team were safe, their mission complete. Back on the flagship, the Queen approached Jax as he stepped out of the shuttle. She studied him carefully, her eyes reflecting both pride and awe. "You have done it," she said simply. "Your courage, ingenuity, and adaptability have saved countless lives. The Vorax Syndicate is defeated because of you." Jack shook his head, overwhelmed. I just did what I could." "I didn't think it would matter this much. It mattered more than you know," she said firmly. "Grave, grave, grave. Humans are underestimated, Carter. Your ability to think beyond rules, to improvise, to act when others hesitate, it is what makes you extraordinary. You have shown the galaxy the true power of humanity." For the first time, Jax allowed himself to feel pride. He had started as a simple mechanic, fixing engines and circuits in a quiet station at the edge of the trade routes. Now he had faced one of the galaxy's deadliest factions, infiltrated their command, and changed the course of a conflict that threatened millions. The Queen's fleet celebrated their victory, but she remained focused, ensuring that all Vorax forces were neutralized and that colonies and trade routes were secured. Jax watched from the bridge, feeling the weight of what had just happened. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous. But he had found his place within it. Later, in the quiet of the flagship's workshop, the Queen visited him again. She placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of both respect and gratitude. "Carter," she said softly, "you have proven that humans are more than just clever or strong. You have shown that we are capable of extraordinary feats when we trust ourselves and act with courage. The galaxy will remember this." Jax smiled faintly, feeling the truth of her words deep in his chest. "I guess humans really aren't so bad," he said quietly. "No," the Queen replied, smiling faintly.
Not at all. The days that followed were filled with rebuilding and recovery. Trade routes reopened, colonies repaired, and alliances strengthened.
Jax returned to his workshop, resuming the work he loved. But he did so with a new understanding. Every ship he repaired, every system he modified, could be a part of something greater. Every small action had the potential to ripple across the galaxy. The Queen visited occasionally, consulting him on upgrades and modifications. Sometimes they simply watched the stars together in silence, knowing that the universe was vast, full of challenges and possibilities. Jax often thought back to that first casual fist bump, the moment that had started this journey. Who could have known that such a small gesture would lead to saving a galaxy? And though the Vorax Syndicate had been defeated, the galaxy remained unpredictable. New threats would emerge, new alliances would be tested, and new challenges would arise. But Jax Carter, simple human mechanic, had learned that courage, creativity, and determination could overcome even the greatest odds. The Queen turned to him one last time before departing for a council meeting. "Remember this, Carter," she said.
You have reminded me, and the galaxy, that humans are a force to be reckoned with. Your place here is not just as a mechanic, but as an example of what humanity can achieve."
"Never forget it," Jax nodded, watching her go. He returned to his tools, the smell of metal and oil filling the air, and smiled. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of mysteries. But he was ready. Human ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability would always have a place among the stars, and somewhere far beyond the reaches of even the Queen's sight, new adventures waited, challenges that would test the limits of human courage and intelligence. But Jax Carter, fist bump hero of a galactic queen, was prepared. He had learned that even the smallest spark of creativity could ignite hope across the cosmos, and he would carry that spark wherever the stars led him.